Hey Eastview, happy Monday. It's Connor here. Hope you all are doing well. And you probably know at this point that as a church, we are studying the book of John. And so we want you to get your John journal. You can pick one up at the family room at the normal campus. You can grab one at the Bloomington campus. And we're even talking about a simple way for you to get one online if you don't live close to a campus. So more to come on that. Stay tuned. But get your journal because we're now through our Devos talking about the Gospel of John. We preached on that yesterday, mainly on John chapter 1. But what I want to do in this Devo today is pause, take a step back and zoom out and talk about who John is briefly. This is just a small snapshot of who he is. But John, who is he? John, just quickly before we read our verse about him, John was someone who was considered close to Jesus. He was in the inner circle, one of three guys who Jesus leaned on and trusted the most. John, compared to other writers in the Bible, he's a really simple writer. He's someone who's easy to understand whether you're new to the Bible, new to Jesus, new to Christianity, or you've been reading the Bible your entire life. That's why we want to study the book of John. We feel like he's someone who brings our church together as we look at the life of Jesus through his eyes. And so I'm going to read a verse from John chapter 13, and I think it'll give us just a bit of a more glimpse of who John is and why we're studying him. So this is John 13, starting in verse 21. It says this: After saying these things, Jesus was troubled in his spirit and testified, "Truly, truly, I say to you, one of you will betray me." This is Jesus at the Last Supper with his disciples. By the way, just so you know the context. Verse 22. The disciples looked at one another, uncertain of whom he spoke. One of his disciples, whom Jesus loved, that's John, he was reclining at the table at Jesus' side. And so Simon Peter motioned to him. He's probably waving his hands, trying to get John's attention. And he motioned to him to ask Jesus of whom he was speaking. So that disciple, John, leaning back against Jesus, said to him, "Lord, who is it?" So John has remained anonymous in the gospel. He'll do that throughout the whole book that he's written. And you should also know he refers to himself in John chapter 19, verse 35 as the beloved disciple because him and Jesus were close. It's also helpful to know that for this Last Supper, the fact that John was next to Jesus and reclining next to him implied that there was trust and there was intimacy. If you were sitting next to someone during a meal, that meant that we're tight, we're close, we have a relationship maybe greater than other people who are around this table. So we're choosing to read a gospel from someone who not only loved Jesus and lived into his old age, into his 90s, and wrote about Jesus late in life, but Jesus loved John. And so whether you're brand new to church, you're brand new to Jesus, John is a great person for you to study. And if you have been studying the Bible your whole life, you were born in the church, born in the pew, and you've been going to church your whole life, John is a great person for you to learn from. One thing I would encourage you to do after this video is you should look up the Bible Project and look at a John overview. It just gives you a better glimpse and an overview of who John was. In fact, I'll put a link in the description for this video as well so you can get there easier. But check that out as we begin to study the life of Jesus through John's eyes. And we appreciate you all. We love you. Check out tomorrow's Devo. See you guys.